But first, the Bank of England has just recently announced it's keeping interest rates unchanged at 4.5%. Lower rates can boost consumer spending by making borrowing cheaper, but the bank seems to be wary of stoking inflation by cutting too quickly. Let's see what their thinking was then with today's decision. Dr. Steve Nolan is an economics lecturer at Liverpool's John Moores University. Afternoon to you.
Hi, Hayley.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks very much for joining me, Steve. So this was, it sort of was expected, wasn't it, that they would keep interest rates on hold?
Yeah, this had been the mood music coming from some of the members of the Monetary Policy Committee who get together and make decisions on whether to hold, rise, or kind of cut the interest rates. And there'd just generally been a signal, whereas in the previous month we saw a quarter percent cut, that people were a little bit concerned about kind of going any lower at the moment because of the kind of two pressures in the economy. One is the question of growth. It's not the picking up maybe in the way, especially that the government had hoped over the last 6 to 9 months. But also there's still some concerns that there's pressure on inflation. So we're seeing this kind of wait and see. What we saw in the language from the Bank of England was this language of being gradual but careful. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot of that kind of attitude months going forward.
Yeah, I suppose it's the economy's in a sort of tricky position at the moment, isn't it? And it's difficult for the Bank of England, different for the government, I suppose, to know what to do with it. But there's a sense, isn't there, when we keep hearing and seeing more evidence of economic growth being very sluggish, that it needs some sort of boost.
Yes, there's a certain amount of that. And there's some kind of tiny kind of evidence of green shoots in that respect. One of the things maybe that we thought was going to be happening because of it in response to the rise in national insurance contributions that's coming next month is that there would be kind of downward pressure on employees, people losing their jobs. Business surveys are suggesting that's not going to be happening. What we are seeing is some downward pressure on wage rises a little bit. That's not being as high as it was. So that's taking some of the kind of pressure off inflation, which that's one of the positive signals that's coming from the bank at the moment. But yeah, you're right. In terms of where the economy is at the moment, it's kind of bouncing around about zero. And that is a kind of problematic place for, well, everyone to be, but especially the government at the moment. Next week, they've got their spring statement. And essentially, they're facing a lot of kind of difficult decisions because the engine of growth in the economy is not working.
Do you think we might see more problems sort of towards summer, maybe as the effect of those national insurance increases really take hold within businesses, that perhaps, we do see fewer businesses taking on staff, or indeed, making it harder for them to increase people's wages?
Yeah, I think we will see an element of that, but kind of trying to pick it out from the data is quite hard because we're not going to see the world where this tax rise didn't come in. I think it probably is not going to be a massive shock when it happens because obviously businesses have had time to plan in that respect. But maybe we might begin to see some upward pressure on prices if that's where business thinks that they want to kind of basically pay for this taxation. Ultimately, kind of a tax rise like this ultimately always falls on individuals, whether that be in terms of kind of downward pressure on wages, whether that be you're not getting the job that you thought you might have been getting, or whether it means prices going up.
Yeah, so I suppose that will make people more cautious with their spending in the months to come.
Yeah, that's definitely true. If you kind of want to sum up the economy at the moment, it is about uncertainty, and uncertainty is kind of like kryptonite for economic activity. People do try to be a bit cautious. They kind of maybe don't do the spending that they were hoping to do, and that uncertainty is obviously at a national level, but obviously it's also at kind of a wider global level. One of the things mentioned in the Bank of England's report today is the potential threat of tariffs coming to the UK, maybe on the 2nd of April. That's going to have a lot of kind of implications for where we go going forward.
Yeah, it just does feel at the moment, doesn't it, that there are a lot of what's often called these unknowns, really, that everyone's just sort of, braced for what could happen coming down the line.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I think it is a bit everyone in a kind of wait and see kind of moment, because obviously we've already had the evidence over the past couple of months that President Trump is, let's say, quite erratic in how he makes decisions in this respect. Now, maybe we're beginning to see a bit of calming down of that, but not in a positive way. He's kind of now threatening tariffs and seeing through with them. And the language he's signaling in terms of these reciprocal tariffs that are supposed to come in on the 2nd of April, he seems pretty well set on it. And we, as the UK, may be one of the people that's in target for that.
Yeah, well, I guess we just wait to see. Dr. Steve Nolan, thanks very much for joining me on Lunchtime Live. He's an economics lecturer at Liverpool John Moores University.